Whiteline Tarmac Rally Sprint Series, we have drivers of all experiences, from our juniors who don't even have their licenses yet, to those who've rallied all around the world. One of the most experienced we get here is Bruce Garland. He's a character of the paddock. Let's go have a chat with him. Bruce, first and foremost, tell us what the Zero car does here at the Whiteline Tarmac Rally Sprint Series.
Basically, the course goes through a prep stage and then it gets checked off. And that 00 goes through and checks that there's nothing's gone wrong, the wind doesn't blow on any barriers or whatever. And then I take it at speed, pretty close to, not full speed, but close to what the front runners will be attacking it at. And then if there's any issues, then I'll clear it or I'll radio back.
Right, so 00 is the cruising, 0 is the race pace, and then you go around in between every run of cars.
Yeah, that's correct. And then that just double checks there's nothing out of place. And then this time I took my mate that I hadn't seen for 50 years from we went to school together, and I took him for a run. He thought he was fast in his Tirana, but he realises the Escort's a bit quicker.
Now tell us about that. There's a bit of a backstory here, because back in the day you were a young banana bender and you used to hang out with him up there. Tell us about that.
Well, when we went to school together from grade 1 and till grade 10, and then basically the families, we moved to Brisbane, he stayed on the coast, and I really didn't see him for, as I say, 48, 50 years, and then he found me on Facebook, but he was Googling my name, and he thought I was a mechanic in Brisbane, and my name kept coming up with all the Dakar and everything, and he said, oh, that wouldn't be him, and then he heard a podcast that Greg Russ did, and then realised that I was the same dude, so...
Yeah, right, so the same guy. Now, you mentioned Dakar. Talk to us about the Dakar experience. The D-Max, how did that go, and how did it end for you?
Look, the Dakar's a completely different beastie. You know, it's a grind. Whatever your comfort zone where you think your limit can be in discomfort, I should say, well, that's about 1 or 2, and then you've got to raise it up to about 10 from there. So most people, I don't think, could cope with the discomfort that you have to go through at speed. I broke my back on one of the rallies. I broke down in the Sahara Desert for days out in the desert, and adventures like it. It's another dimension of motorsport that's got adventure and drama with it around every corner, basically.
So for the people that might not be too familiar with Dakar, straight after New Year's Day, 3 weeks I think it is. How long is it out on course, and how far do you travel?
Look, it varies over the years. I think the first one we did in South America was about 14,000 kilometres in a bit just over 2 weeks with one rest day. But you don't really rest. That's the day you work on the car and wash your clothes and your driving suit, because it's like solid salt and sweat, so it got dried out. Yeah, it varies over the years. Different. Now it's in Saudi Arabia, so it's different. In South America there was a lot of altitude, so 1 minute you'd be in the snow, 2 hours later you'd be 40-degree temperature in the Atacama Desert, you know, getting bogged.
How big's the team when you go over there for you?
We had 2-car teams, so we had about 20 people in the team. So yeah, it was a big exercise. I think that year we spent just under $2 million or something. So yeah, it's not a cheap exercise either.
Let's look at this beautiful car first and foremost. Mark 1 Escort, tell us about it.
I bought this about 2007, and it was like a rusty. Started off, it didn't too bad. Once you started digging in, there was a lot of rust and new floors, and over years, I was still going to Dakar, so I'd only on the quiet time, which wasn't very often, I'd do a little bit of work on it. Then I had a heart attack, and then I was recovering from that, so I got to work on it a fair bit, but just for an hour or two every day. And anyway, so I just came up with a car that would make a lot of power, good to drive, light, and not too expensive.
Now, you've done a lot to it. We had a look inside before. Custom transmission tunnel. You've got a brand new floor as well.
Yeah, it's got new tunnels, new floor, a lot of new panels in it, and then the cage is quite intricate cage, stiffens the whole car up, and we've got the Honda engine in there with a 6-speed sequential out of a V8 supercar, a whole one. I was lucky to find a good one of those, and it is so much fun to drive.
Beautiful car. Now, you've done a lot of rallying. What advice have you got for the younger drivers out there maybe doing their first Whiteline Tarmac Rally Sprint Series or first dirt rally?
Main thing is don't worry about the power. Concentrate on the handling and the braking, and getting as many kilometres as you can to get your skill levels up, you know. If you spend too much money and you bin it, it's a lot harder to fix it.
Yeah, make sure it stops and turns good, right?
Stops and turns are more important than horsepower.